Hello everyone, welcome to a new reading. Today we are going to do Chinese group predictions for 2024. And in this one, there's going to be 3 different questions, which is the first question is the group's current energy. Then question number 2 has 2 parts, which will be the group's prediction and then the individual prediction career for each member. And the last question will be any advice or healing messages that there is for the group. In the description below, I will have the timestamps in case you guys want to jump around different questions. And if not, then let's start with their current energy to see how the group is doing right now. So how's SHINee doing right now? What's up with the group right now? What are they thinking? What are they feeling? What are they going through? So they're going through quite a couple of emotions as a group. So currently it seems like the group is focused on their career, because the first 2 cards that came out were Pentacle energy with a 4 of Pentacles and then the Knight of Pentacles reversed, but it's there. And then afterwards the other cards that came out are from the other suits, so they're kind of balanced. Even if they're focusing on their work, they're quite balanced because we have the Knight of Wands, the 2 of Swords, and then the Knight of Cups. That's 3 out of the 4 knights that could possibly come out. That kind of shows that everyone, okay, let me put it this way. As a group, they are thinking of working together, but also many of them are focusing on their individual work, because all of the knights make me think that many of them are just thinking I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. They're already planning on the actions that they're going to take for their work individually. And there's so much to unpack in the group's energy right now. So let's start with the 4 of Pentacles. So the 4 of Pentacles could talk about many of them are being very attached to what they have, or being very protective of what they own or what's theirs. So in this case, yeah, it could be in regards to money, but Pentacles does talk about work and career. So I do feel that what many of the members in SHINee are focusing on as a group even is to protect their brand and to protect their image or their reputation. And I'm saying that because that's kind of what they're selling, right? They're selling their image, they're selling the vibes. The vibes, bro. That's the best way I can describe it. They're of course selling the product of their music, their performance, that type of thing, right? So in a way they're part of, themselves as people it's part of their brand. The people that they're connected to, they're people that they network with, if that makes sense. That is also part of their brand. So the 4 of Pentacles makes me think that in order for them to be stable as a group, many of them are very cautious and careful with who they hang out with. They're very cautious of who they talk about, and also they're very careful with what they do, of course, as the image that they want to portray for their career. So I guess the sound that they're going for, or the concepts that they're going for. So as a group, they're all very careful and conscious. And the only reason why I'm pointing this out is that I feel like currently one of the things that they're doing is that they're trying to have this balance between this is the image that we have as a group, and this is the image that we all want to go tackle on individually for their solo careers, basically. And this 4 of Pentacles also makes me think that they're very stable as a group, and they have a very concrete way of doing things, or a very disciplined way of planning together, so that they can also have the wiggle room to do what they want to do individually. But I do feel that many of them are focusing more on their solo stuff, and then just making sure they have enough space to maybe have at least a comeback as a group at least once a year or so. There's this sense of trying to have all of this balance and stable. Now, let's talk about all of these knights. So the Knight of Pentacles talks about someone that is analytical, someone that is very observant, it's Virgo energy, so it is someone that follows their routine, very hardworking, borderline workaholic, someone that does not mind doing the tedious work. So it's a sign that is, it's a card that represents an individual that is able to observe the smallest of details and take care of those things and solve those issues. It is definitely someone that is slow paced when taking action. So when they're going about their journey, they are the slowest moving knight. However, it is one that really pays attention to all the details. That's why it takes them a while to get things done, because they're making sure everything is okay. And Maybe the Knight of Pentacles is not much of a risk taker when you compare it to the other knights, but in the end of the day, this kind of just shows that as a group, many of them are not really taking action because many of them are still planning things out and still figuring things out. That's why it feels like this Knight of Pentacles is reversed, because there's planning that is being done and no action is being taken quite yet. And I do feel the analytical part of this Knight of Pentacles is definitely like working in the sense of like observing the details on like which will be the best approach, thinking things through very carefully to have an idea of everything that has to be taken care of, and then planning accordingly to make sure that everything is being met with the care and the attention necessary to achieve those goals. So as a group, currently it seems like many of them are planning and thinking and also setting intentions. I feel like many of them are like, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I desire, these are my goals. And I do feel that they may share it with each other just to make sure that they're leaving enough room for group stuff as well. Or because I do feel that sometimes they have to also keep in mind with like how the company, how SM treats, not treats, but how like what resources SM has available. So it's kind of like, you know, I want to take a solo out, so when will you have the time and the resources and the manpower to give me what I want? So I do feel that as a group, SHINee does talk about these things to make sure that they don't overlap when they're doing their solo stuff as well. Now the other cards that we have right here, so we have, this is actually very good because the Two of Swords usually does talk about a decision that has to be made, and here we have two options, right? We have, as a group, they have a decision on how or like what will be the best approach to what they want to do, and the options are be a Knight of Wands or be a Knight of Cups. Those are the decisions, right? And okay, Knights represent movement in tarot, and they represent like change, right? Movement in tarot usually symbolizes change. And also, if we want to tie astrology to these cards, all the knights are mutable signs. So in this case, it will be Virgo with the Knight of Pentacles, and then we have Sagittarius with the Knight of Wands, and then we have Pisces with the Knight of Cups. Even if it's reversed, I do feel it's still very decent energy for the group. So currently the group is kind of having like, they have to make this decision of like, do we want to go through this adventure, take risks, jump into the unknown and just take action and see where it takes us, or do we want to take a little bit of a slower pace with this Knight of Cups and just kind of see what offers come through and see who wants to work with us and see who has a good idea. So I do feel that the group currently is thinking of what will be the best approach. So this is the best way I can describe it. The Knight of Pentacles here show us that they're planning. And then what are they planning is this three cards that we have right here. So the Two of Swords is kind of showing like, these are your options. This is like the two things that the group is kind of juggling between, and it's just like, how are they going to do things? Are they just going to jump into the unknown, take action and see where everything takes them, or do they want to kind of take a bit more of a step back and continue thinking and analyzing of the situation, but more of like a feeling type of way of like, both of these cards is just kind of going with the flow, but it's a bit differently, because one is like, let me actively seek things out and see where it takes me, kind of like trial and error type of thing. And then the Knight of Cups will be more of like, let me take a step back and observe the situation and go with my intuition and go by feelings, right? So I do feel that there is a sense of like timing. Should they wait for the right time to do something and take action, or should they just kind of like walk in blind and see where it takes them, right? So I mean, the Knight of Cups could also mean about going with the flow, but it's a bit more relaxed and passive in a way. It's more like, let me just continue doing my own thing and see where that takes me. But it's kind of like maybe not actively going after their goal. In this case, it might be their careers, and that's what I'm focusing on, right? And the Knight of Wands is more like, let me just push towards my goal and see what works and what doesn't work. But it's like constantly approaching it and constantly pursuing it. So currently that's where the group is at. Like, they don't know if they should have an offensive plan for this year, or if they should have a more passive type of like approach to the year, right? I don't know, that's a very strange way of describing it, but that's the best way I can explain what their current energy is. Like right now they're just thinking and deciding of what to do and how to go about it, basically. But yeah, there's a lot of knights, so many of them are ready for change and to jump into something new. So now let's go on to the second question, which is the group prediction. So let's jump into it. So the card that we have right here is you're close to achieving your goal with Givia's Moon. So I don't know what goal the group has, but if it's to reach success or to put something under the spotlight, then they're going to achieve it very soon. I don't know if the group has something planned, like as a group. It seems like this year they're going to be seen, they're going to be noticed. You're very close to achieving their goal. I don't quite know what their goal is per se, but if we look at the current energy, maybe their goal is to have a balance between group stuff and individual solo activities. And I do feel that then if that's the case this year, it kind of shows that they will achieve this sweet spot where they can do group stuff and individual stuff almost seamlessly. And what I mean seamlessly is like they're able to handle and balance all of it together. Like I think they're going to find a system that works for them where they can do all of the group stuff and not make it get in the way of their solo activities, because the solo activities could be like them promoting music, but also we have to think about like maybe they're in variety shows, maybe they want to, you know, planning for their own stuff behind the scenes. Like I think they're finding this very good system and balance where they're able to not have the behind the scenes clash with the stuff that does go out to the public, and they're having this balance where as well of being able to kind of have enough time for themselves in their personal life, but also have time for their work. So having all of that well balanced out and like this very planned out system is like the goal that I think they're aiming for this year, and as a group they will be able to achieve some sort of agreement basically. Now that was very straightforward. Like there is a sense of success, like they will be seen, they will be under the spotlight, so I do look forward for that this year. Now let's go on to the second part of this second question, which is the individual career predictions for each member. I will go in age order, so I will start with Onyu and figure out any predictions for him this year. So the cards that came out were Death and Blind. It feels like this year he will go through this transformation where he's going to see everything that he did not see before. Now, I do feel that this is a very big metaphor, because death in tarot usually talks about the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one. It could also talk about a very big transformation or this metamorphosis of sorts of an individual that sheds off their old skin and is reborn into this new sense of self, or this new way of perceiving life and thinking. So this death card makes me think of like ending a cycle of sorts. So for Onyu, it feels like this year for his career, he's going to go through a personal transformation that of course will affect his career, right? But this transformation is one where I feel he's going to finally notice everything that he had not seen before. And I'm saying that because the death card could talk about this transformation, and the blind card makes me think of seeing things or feeling things that had not been felt or seen before. So that's why I see these two cards right here, and I do feel like he's going to be in a better alignment of who he is, or he's going to start noticing all of the things that he had forgotten somehow. I don't know, there is a sense of like going through this personal transformation that will naturally affect his career. I just don't really know how it will affect it, but it will definitely, I do feel like we're seeing something that will indirectly connect to his career. There is also a chance that this year he may be focusing more on himself rather than his career, because this big transformation could be part of it, where it will be more beneficial for him to just do his own thing, focus on his health, his mental health, his emotional health, find alignment with who he is, and just adjust slowly into this new version of himself that he's kind of like venturing in, or like growing into, or being born into. Being born into seems a little bit kind of wild to talk about. Like, what is that wording? Okay, now let's go on to the next person, which is Key. So what's in store for Key's career this 2024? We have stress. Funnily enough, I don't think it's anything bad. Because I see this stress card, and instead of feeling like this sense of dread for Key, I do feel that this stress card is supposed to symbolize how he's going to stay pretty busy this year, because there's so many things that he wants to do, and he's about to start them. The other thing that I want to mention is that, you know how in K-pop many groups have gone to like the early 2000s type of vibe, and I'm seeing like all of these doodles on this card that I do feel that maybe Key's gonna take out like a concept or an album that has this type of aesthetics. Like that just kind of came through. I don't know if that will happen for sure or not, but that's like a little extra thing. But anyway, with this stress card, instead of feeling a sense of dread or this sense of like sadness or disappointment of sorts when something bad is about to happen, I actually felt pretty content when I saw this card. Not because stress is something that we should look forward to, but more along the lines that I do feel that Key this year is going to be very busy, because he's going to be just very actively approaching his goal. So he made the decision of being a Knight of Wands, which is just actively pursuing his goal, constantly working towards it, and just seeing where it takes him, in the sense of like not being too tied to results, basically. But anyway, with this stress card, I do feel that he's going to be very busy this year, and he's going to be very content and happy because he feels like he's working towards something, or he's working towards a goal. And because of that, even if it could be overwhelming or a bit tiring, he will feel like it's worth it, or like he's being pretty effective, or like his work it's paying off somehow, right? So I do feel that even though he may feel a bit stressed because he's a bit overwhelmed with everything that has to be done, thought out, and planned, I do feel that it's like a healthy type of stress, right? Or like a healthy type of pressure, you know? When you have enough pressure that it pushes you to get something done, but it's not to the point where it's like breaking you apart, of like being overwhelmed. I do feel like that's where Key's going to be in this careful like middle of like, there's enough of an incentive to get things done, but not enough pressure to make him like fall apart. So anyway, I know that the stress card can be like, what? That doesn't seem positive, but I don't know, for Key, maybe that's kind of just natural. Like, it's a natural process of being super busy. Now on to the next person, which is Miho. So what's in store for him this 2024? Wait, so the card that just fell is the schedule card. Management, plan, and organize. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense because that's kind of like what we got as a group prediction. So it seems like he's going, you know, so it seems like for Minho, he's going to be focusing more on just organizing himself, and maybe, I don't know what he may want to be, what he wants to do this 2024, but I do feel that he has maybe a certain goal, or maybe a certain project that he wants to tackle this year. And if that's the case, he's already organizing himself by finding the right people for it, maybe even planning, either if it's like related to music, then he's already planning the concept of it. Well, even if it's not related to music, like if it's acting or if it's just a variety show, whatever it is, he's already thinking of the concept, the best approach. Maybe he's already organizing his projects to figure out how he's going to go about this year, where he is organizing himself, like he's gonna take out his calendar and be like, okay, this is the goals that I have for this year, and let me start like organizing it. Like this month I can achieve those goals. This other month I will be able to do these goals. Oh, I need to leave this month free because we're going to be working as a group. Or, oh, I need to leave this month free because this person's going to take something out and this person's going to take something out. Like, I don't know. I think he's like working with staff, with managers, with the company, and also with himself and the group and his group mates, so with the rest of SHINee, to figure out the best schedule that he wants to do. Like, maybe he's the type of person that he doesn't need like a super detailed plan of how he's going to do things, but he does want to at least have like a broad idea of like, okay, so by this dates I want to have these goals achieved, or by this dates I will focus on these things, so like that he can like have a better idea of how to organize his energy and his mental space. Now I'm saying it that way because I'm thinking of like someone that is like, okay, this goal I'm going to approach, this month I'm going to approach this goal, therefore I'm just going to think about that and how I'm going to achieve it, rather than thinking of like, oh right, but I want to do this other things, right? So I do feel that that's why he's like, this year it feels like for his career he's just organizing everything so like that he doesn't interrupt himself or lose concentration and focus by thinking of the other things that he wants to do. It's more like, okay, let me laser focus on this since I know that I'm going to tackle those other goals later on. The other thing that I'm also getting with the imagery specifically of this one is that I do feel there's so many things that he wants to do this year that he will feel like he just doesn't have time for it. In the sense of like he's working on something and there seems to never be enough time to do anything. And I don't think this is necessarily an issue of like he feels like he can't get anything done, as much as it's just like time flies when he does things, especially when it's something that he enjoys or that he likes. It's like, oh man, we've been working on this for hours, they didn't even notice. So I do feel this is more of like a positive energy, even though I do feel that sometimes he goes like, I wish I had more than 24 hours a day. Like, I don't know, maybe there's so many, there's a sense of like, there's so many things that he wants to do because there's a sense of inspiration and a sense of motivation that is pushing him to want to do a bunch of things. But let's go on to the last person in SHINee and figure out what is the career predictions for Taming this 2024. So the cards that came out were Origin, which this hasn't, Schedule and Origin have not come up for anyone so far. But I usually don't get this card. That's why I'm so excited to see it. And we have Accident. So the first thing that I'm going to say is, I'm seeing these two cards, and for whatever reason, the first message that came out for Taming was that there's going to be some discomfort, like some physical discomfort that is going to be bothering him this year, and it's because of a past accident. Now, the best way I can describe this is like, has it happened to you guys that you have gotten hurt when you were young, and as you grow older, you start feeling the soreness or the pain of that one time you hurt yourself when you were a kid? Like, let's say when you were very young, you you fell off your bike and you like hurt your knee very badly. But since you were young, you kind of like bounced back very quickly. But now that you're older, you're like, oh, that one time I hit myself or that I hurt myself. Like, it's like pain. It's like, what is it called? It's like all of a sudden all that pain comes back to you. I do feel that Tammy is gonna go through something like that. Like maybe while he was dancing, or like while he was just, if he was ever like in a car accident or something, like maybe at the time he was okay and he didn't really feel any pain. But maybe those things are like kind of like coming back to him, and it's like all of a sudden he feels like the soreness of where he got hit that one time, or like when he like didn't step right that one time. You know what I mean? Like maybe he's starting to feel those pains from things from the past. But I do feel this is like physical pain. I don't think this is like emotional pain or anything. I think this is physical. Oh, that's why I was talking about the knee. That's literally the imagery of the accident card. Now, the other thing that I'm getting with Taming is that, and of course, I can interrupt his work because he may have to slow things down a little bit if he all of a sudden can't move as easily as he wishes he could. And I was talking about things from the past because of the origin card. It makes me think of something that happened way back, or like he may have body aches this year that maybe he wonders like why is that, and it's simply because of overworking himself for so long, or because of an accident that happened in the past. So like the origin of that pain is from way back. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Now, the other thing that I wanted to say is that, again, this is a metaphor, but the origin card, I'm thinking of someone that is planting the seeds for the future. And with this accident card, I'm thinking of how, in a creative way, you can have happy accidents. I'm Bob Ross right now, guys. Is that I think he's the one that said happy accidents, right? So for Taemin, it seems like there's something that he accidentally worked on, or like something was a mistake in the past that now he can think back on it and think, oh, that's actually a very good idea, or that's like, you know, maybe like a joke or something from the past, and like an inside joke that all of a sudden is like, you know what, that's actually a very good idea, maybe I should make it a concept or something. It's like something that seemed like a mistake or something significant in the past. We're actually planting the seeds for something to grow now into an actual creative and possible project, if that makes sense. So I think in 2024, Taemin may look back and realize, oh, you know, this idea that I'm working on right now actually makes me think of the past, or it's actually rooted with something that I worked on or thought of a very long time ago. Or who knows, maybe he's going to think back to his roots and maybe learn from mistakes or take mistakes from the past as a form of inspiration for his work today. Which, I mean, that's a very beautiful way of putting these two cards, actually. Because I'm thinking also of like the Seven of Pentacles, which is supposed to describe someone that has planted the seeds and they have taken care of them. So now it's just like a matter of time for them to bear fruit. So usually the Seven of Pentacles talks about patience and tarot, but it's also supposed to symbolize that your hard work is paying off, type of thing. So yeah, it feels like this year's gonna be pretty good for him too. It's just like, if anything, I just hope he takes care of his body, because I do feel that his body could feel a bit overwhelmed or a bit tired from working so hard. Now let's go on to the last part of this video, which is the advice or healing messages for SHINee. So the card that fell is a new moon in Leo. With confidence is your key to success. I kind of want to take all the cards and then talk about it. So let's do that. We have third quarter moon with adjustments are required. And one last card. We have void of course moon with nothing will come of this situation. That's funny. Okay, what's funny is that these two cards literally just came out for the group I just recorded. So that's why I'm like, that's interesting. Let's see. So the advice for SHINee this year. Okay, this one is very positive. So the advice for them is that they're going to do something new, you know, because a new moon talks about a new chapter in their lives, a new beginning, is like the start of a new journey. So to me, it kind of feels like the best advice for the group right now is to just do what they want to do. With Leo energy, is a sense of like be in a very creative state. Follow your inner child and do what you've always wanted to do. Just have fun. Just enjoy what you're doing. Just enjoy life and just be happy. Leos are very confident in what they do. Very focused as well on what they're doing. Like when a Leo sets themselves like some sort of goal, they usually just achieve it because of this laser focused way of doing things. Because Leo is a fit sign, so it's like actively approaching their dreams and accomplishing them. The other thing that I'm getting also with this Leo energy is to stay optimistic, lighthearted, and that's why the whole idea of like just having fun. So the best advice for the group this year is to just do what they enjoy, take care of themselves, self-care, self-love, be patient and loving with themselves, be super generous and kind and understanding of themselves. So like that, they just kind of do what they want to do. It's like there is a sense of, for example, with Anu, he was getting this whole idea of like, in a way, resting so that he can just transform and focus on himself rather than his work. So the best advice for the whole group will be to kind of do that in a way. It's like, yeah, if you want to work in your career and do those things, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that you're having fun. Make sure that you're doing what you love. Make sure that you are staying creative, happy, motivated. Don't feel forced to do things that you're not comfortable doing or that you feel are a bit of a drag or a bit of a dread. So yeah, it's kind of like the key to success here is to just be happy, confident, enjoying the beauties of life and all that life has to offer. Something along those lines. Now, the other thing that I'm getting with the key to confidence is the key to success is what these other two cards are talking about. So, with the Void of Course Moon, it says nothing will come of the situation, but the alternative meaning for me is to go down the unbidden path. It's like, do things differently. Do things that other people don't do. Don't feel tied down to following conventions. Don't feel tied down to do what everybody else is doing. And don't feel limited to doing things the way that is standard or common for others to do. Because maybe that's not the best approach for the group. It's like, maybe just do things however you want to do them. Do things the way that are the most comfortable to you as an individual. Like, adjust this, which is what it says right here. It's like, adjust the situation so it accommodates to who you are as a person. Is like this whole idea of like, don't feel forced to do what others do because that's what works. It's like, just do what you want to do because that will work on its own. It's like, go with a sound that you are happy with. Go with a concept that you're content with. Express the messages that you want to express. And those things will do well. It's like this whole idea of like, if the group as a group or individually finds a sound that they're content with and really speaks or best expresses who they are, that's the best way they will succeed in life. It's like, be confident in your individuality and in your uniqueness and show it off to the world. If that's what they desire, of course. It's like, if there's something that they don't want to show off to the world and keep it private to themselves, that's perfectly fine too, as long as they're aware of that's just who they are. Like, it's like, by doing things that makes them who they are, it will create a very strong foundation for them to succeed, right? Because it's easier to do what makes you happy and what you love, not because the journey itself is easier or simpler. Is just because at least it's worth it. Like, you will always find challenges regardless of what you do. So at least if it's something that you enjoy, or at least it's something that will get you closer to what you want in life, then at least it's worth it. The struggle is worth it. It's paying off, right? So I do feel that the best advice for the whole group, for all of SHINee, is to do what they enjoy and what they love, and they will succeed. Because, and also the other thing, they will succeed because that's the best way that they can approach doing things differently. Now, the other thing here, of course, is like, don't follow conventions and just do what you want, however you want to do it. Because I do feel that the best adjustment for them and their success is to just have the flexibility to do what they desire. However it is that they're more comfortable approaching that. So it's kind of like this whole idea of like, do things differently and open that path for others. Or open people's minds by doing what you want to do. Expressing it however works for you as an individual. You, in this case, being each of the SHINee members on their own. I do feel that SHINee works very well by expressing their individuality as a group. If that makes sense? It's like, when they're all together, they're all so different that it stands out. So even though they have good synergy as a group, they all know themselves so well individually that they can all shine very brightly on their own as well, even when they're all together. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So yeah, the best advice for them: have fun this year. Anyway, I hope you guys like this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun reading for SHINee because it's, you know, it's one of the first groups that I listened to when I got into K-pop back in Monday. Right? It's been quite a while. But anyway, it's very nice to read all of these beautiful things for them. It's good to see that their energy is still very stable after all these years as a group. Like, man, it's been a long, long time. Anyway, I hope you guys like this reading. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys on the next one, whenever that is, however that is. I hope you guys learned from this, or at least found it entertaining. And thank you so much for watching. Love and healing from my part to you. And bye.